Thanks for tuning in to Becoming Something, where we promise to keep the conversation honest and real for young adults in their 20s and 30s. Every moment we live is training for a future moment, and that's why we do this podcast, because we want you to be prepared for everything that life is going to throw at you. Our hope with this podcast is that it would help you become all that God desires you to be. So with that in mind, let's jump right in to this week's episode of Becoming Something.
What's up, podcast world? It's your boy JP in the podcast studio with Kathy.
Hello.
And Nathaniel.
Listen, I've never felt cooler in my life.
Is your name Nathaniel on your birth certificate?
I've worked with you for 7 years, and you're just learning my name.
No, but is it
7 years?
Is it Nathaniel on your birth certificate?
Nathan Todd Hilgenkamp.
So it's not Nathaniel.
No, it's just
Okay.
Nathan.
All right.
Yeah.
What'd you learn?
I'm wearing the same shoes as you.
Wait.
I feel like I've made it.
Yes, because I gave you those shoes.
That's true. That's true.
Do they fit?
Yeah, they fit. I just
have
don't
a question.
take the time to.
Do you not tie them?
What's the point? I'm not gonna be running today.
Yeah, he doesn't run errands.
Exactly.
He doesn't run errands.
Chase your
I
kids.
said today in staff prayer, I was like, he's fast. And somebody goes, well, maybe with his wit, but not.
Not physically.
Yeah, hey, that's fine.
Remember that
I
time
accept that.
you got schooled in basketball
No, it was awful.
by a female resident?
And there's like 70, 80,000 views. It's
And
just
remember how she
terrifying.
won?
Oh,
She dribbled between your legs.
Wow.
Should we go to a listener question?
You know, I saw your in-laws the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Then I apologized. I was like, "Hey, I actually love him," and she was like really serious. She was like, "Hey, thank you for saying that to this mama's heart." And I was like, I really do.
I have to tell them all the time. I think he likes me.
Oh my gosh.
I think he does, but I don't know.
Okay, what were you gonna say a second ago?
Should we take a listener question today? What should we do?
No. This is
bro.
part 2 of last week.
We're doing it again?
Yeah,
Just running it back?
We got
We have more.
This is a 2-parter.
With
We've
our
only
new
done
favorite
this.
person.
I think we've only done this like 1 or 2 other times in
Yeah.
the history of Becoming Something. But man,
Another amazing one that we did was with Joshua Broom. If you haven't listened to that one,
yeah,
that
go
was
back.
great.
Wow, I learned
Go
a
back
lot
and
that
listen.
day.
We're like on. We've done this over 300 and how many times?
Yeah, almost 7 years. So if you do 52 times
I can't
7,
do that math.
we're pretty
but-
close.
You didn't even know your alphabet.
Yeah, last week.
That's true.
You didn't even know your alphabet, so I don't have a lot of hope for you doing that math. But let's jump back in with our friend Jamie Winship.
Woo.
And so you said, I'm starting in the middle of the story. You quickly said a resume, right there. So I was a police officer. Can you just give me that line of events again real quick?
Yeah. So I start in the middle because most of us don't understand. We think God's not working yet in our life or something until we realize, oh, there's God and Jesus. Like he's never been there until you invite him in and all of a sudden he shows up and now we start. He's been there the whole time. He's the omnipresent one, right?
Yeah.
He's always been there. And so when I, grew up in a very strict religious family, independent Baptist, not allowed to go to movies, not allowed to listen to, bad music, in the Bible, in the church all the time, which I'm grateful for, especially, later in my life when I understood all of it. But back then it was hard for me. I didn't understand. I was told, God can't go to movie theaters, that kind of stuff. And so just because of my identity, my bent, I had a hard time with it.
Mm-hmm.
My brother, who's an amazing evangelist, that's his world. He loved it. It's his identity. It's his world. He's so good at it. And we shared a room our whole life together, and we could never agree because we were supposed to be exactly the same, right? And we were so different. I was different in a way that was wrong. And so I was always wrestling with, he was such a good guy and all that. Anyway, so I decided I was going to sneak into a movie theater to see why God couldn't go there. What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
And how can especially when I learned that God's everywhere all the time, except in a movie theater. And then I realized how many people believe there's places God can't go. And how damaging that is to think that. That means we can't go.
Yeah.
And so I snuck into the movie theater, and I didn't know what the movie was, but I just went in there and I got in the back row and just wanted to see, do you die in here? What happens in here in this place? is God's wrath incinerate you in here? And what happened was it turned out to be the movie Serpico with Al Pacino, which I have hanging behind me, this big picture signed by Al Pacino of him playing Serpico. And I went in that theater, and so all I know the Bible actually I was 14. I know the Bible pretty well by then, memorized tons of it, had been told most of my life that most of my thoughts are going to be lustful, deceitful, evil thoughts. So I was really wrestling through that. And then this movie comes on. Now I'm in a movie theater, and the musical score alone started to move me.
Wow.
I had the beauty, because the only thing that awakens a human heart is beauty and suffering. Those are the only two things that wake up the human heart.
And suffering.
Beauty and suffering, right? And we avoid both really well. And so the music comes on, and the beautiful theme, and then the movie starts, and it's the movie of a New York City police officer, Frank Serpico, played by Al Pacino. So it's a true story about this police officer who his whole life wants to be a cop, and he won't participate in corruption. And so his squad isolates him out, and then they get him shot in a drug buy, shot in the face. And anyway, it's this whole beautiful story of this young idealistic cop and how he navigates it. And because of him, the Knapp Commission's instituted and all this stuff. But when I'm watching the movie, the cinematography, the narration, the story arc, the beauty of the whole thing, I'd never seen beauty like that before. The story was beautiful. His integrity was beautiful. The music was beautiful, and it was R-rated. And it was R-rated.
It's impossible.
And it's like it couldn't be possible. It couldn't be possible. And I just started crying in the movie. I just started weeping in the movie and I didn't know if you can understand this, I didn't know it was the God of the Independent Baptist. Like, I didn't know who was doing this to me, but I knew it was bigger. It was so powerful. I couldn't stop what it was doing in my heart. It was so profoundly moving me. And who is this? Who is doing this? It's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. And I cried all the way through the movie. And I knew that I was being invited into something at 14. I knew, but it was the wrong place. It was the wrong medium. Everything was wrong, except I knew that it was divine. And so because I was Independent Baptist, I knew that I needed to make a decision. So when the movie ended, I went forward in the movie theater and walked up on the little stage, 1973,
Wow.
walked up on the little stage, and I looked up into the projection light, crying my eyes out, and I said, this is who I'm going to be the rest of my life.
Wow.
I didn't say do. It was really weird. I said, this is who I am supposed to be, and I commit myself to becoming this the rest of my life.
A police officer.
Just by myself in the theater. Because the metaphor in front of me was police officer. Like it was a metaphor. I now know. But for me, it was the only way to become this is to be that vocation.
Yeah.
And so at 14, I committed my life to it.
Yeah.
And so when I left the theater, I knew I'm going to be on a polygraph at age 21. And so I began to live this very holy life.
Wow.
Because of the identity that was now in that I could feel it. And so I tell young people all the time, don't just try and avoid stuff in life.
Yeah.
Become something.
Yeah.
Because once you
Let's
know
go.
what God's inviting you to, when God's inviting you to become, you won't, the other things are a hindrance to that. Yes, exactly. I know I wrote down, I love what that says.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to do anything. I'm trying to become who, with God's help, I'm becoming who I am.
Come on.
Right. And so that led me, then when I didn't really understand salvation and all that stuff, but I knew that I had been reborn or born again somehow. And at 17, so I went out for sports. I don't like sports. I'm much more of a literature, poetry person, but I played sports because my dad wanted me to. And because I wanted to be in shape for the police physical. And I injured my leg severely in a wrestling accident going into my senior year. And I was afraid I couldn't pass a physical. And so when I came out of the emergency surgery, the doctor said, well, you're not playing sports anymore, but I don't know about the physical. I just don't know if you can do it, pass it physically. And I was so mad. I was mad at God and mad because had gone from 14 to almost 18, doing everything to be a police officer.
Yeah.
And I was so mad that I was going to be taken away from me. And so I was mad at God, conveniently mad at God. And this is the first person I ever met, this person that came into, so it was Al Pacino, as Frank Serpico was the first metaphor. But then the physical therapist lady, single mom from West Virginia, that's all I know about her to this day. She came into the room, the physical therapist, and she was looking at me, and I was so mad. And she sat down next to me, and she was 27 years old, and she said, listen, your body's going to get well. Your body will heal. What's going to kill you is your anger.
Wow.
She said, so let me help you with both. Let me help you with both. Because the leg will get well, but the heart, that's going to be the challenge for you. And I was so mad because I knew she was going to talk to me about Jesus. I just had this, and I had in my mind what this lecture was going to be like because I've heard it 1,000 times. And I just started cussing her out. I mean, I cussed her out. I named every part of her body. I insulted everything about her. I wouldn't let her talk. I mean, I said and she stood up and she walked away from me. She backed away from me because I was so mad. And she smiled at me and she said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll start tomorrow. And she walked out. And she came back for 5 days.
She's a physical therapist
5 days.
or a nurse or a doctor?
Physical therapist.
Okay.
Physical therapist,
Got it.
nurse. Yeah.
Got it.
And every day she came back like she'd never met me.
Wow.
I would cuss her out. I would call her names, and she would come back like she'd never met me and go, you know what the problem is with you? It's like you're angry, but I'll help you with that. Like she never met me.
Yeah.
And by day 3, I knew her love and forgiveness is so great, so powerful that I've run out of anger and hostility. I don't have any more left.
Yeah.
And she keeps coming back unoffended. And so I would listen to her, and she would say to me, you know, you need Christ to help you become who he wants you to be. You don't worry about your body and all that. You need Christ to help you become. And all I knew about her was she had worked her way through nursing school or physical therapy school at night, had a kid. She was, from West Virginia. She was 27. And I just respected the heck out of her.
Yeah.
And when I left the hospital, she never knew anything. I never made a decision with her. I never responded to her. But when I got discharged, I started praying because now I had in my mind, police officer, that's what I want to be. But now I had a model of what that was going to look like, her.
Wow.
And so I started praying and I said, God, can you make me into a police officer like she's a nurse? That's the only way I knew how to say it.
Wow.
That I could walk into hatred and domestic disputes and with that kind of love that I could come back every day as if I'd never met the people.
Yes.
How do you become that was my question. And then I started now I had a kind of person that I wanted to look for.
Yeah.
And so I started looking for people like her. And let me tell you, they are rare. They are rare.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let me just say here,
so that's
the book is Living Fearless. Living Fearless is the book by Jamie Winship. IdentityExchange.com. Go there. They've created resources. There's classes you can take. You can sign up for. You go on YouTube if you want to kind of test the waters and see what they're about. Identity Exchange. Search it on YouTube. Jamie Winship. And so, real quick, Jamie, if you would just give the quick bio that you kind of started with. It was like I was a police officer, and then FBI, and then overseas, Muslim territory. Can you just say that line again? Because it was a lot in just a sentence.
Yeah. So police. Graduated from university, went into the police department at 23. Was a police officer, loved it. Practiced hearing from God. That's really where I learned to hear from God, was on the street, in real life, with no music and candles, just nasty situations where I just could hear God so deeply and how he loved people. And so I practiced. I kept asking God, is there another way to do policing than what I was trained in the academy? There's got to be another way. How do I serve and protect and not just law enforce? How do I serve and protect and not just law enforce? And so 5 years of that, I experimented. I got suspended for different things I tried because we weren't allowed to share our faith in my department. So I was asking the Lord, how do I impact people with the kingdom and get promoted? How about that? Why can't we do that? Why do I have to get fired? Why isn't there a way I can do it and everyone's blessed by it? And I made Officer of the Year my second year. I made Detective my third year, which was unheard of, but based on cases I worked. And then in my fifth year, I got a phone call in the middle of the night by some State Department people that wanted to talk to me right away. I went to meet with them. They had my 5 years of casework in a folder. They met me in a bar and said, how are you doing what you're doing? Who taught you how to do this? Because we know the police academy didn't teach you how to do this. Who taught you how to do this? And can you articulate your process?
Yeah.
I was 28. And I said, you're not going to like it. But they said, tell us. And I told them, I said, well, I get in these, they would point to a case and say, how did you work this case? And I would say, I did this, this, and this. And then I didn't know what else to do. So I spent some time asking God to give me a new idea. I write down the ideas that come to my mind, and then I do them because obedience means to hear and respond. Obedience means to hear God and respond, and obedience is greater than sacrifice. So I practice hearing and responding. And that's why I did this, and that's why I did that, and that's how I got Officer of the Year, because I found this kidnapped kid, and that's how I did it all. And they said, and these were career State Department cynics, and they said, well, we don't like your process. We actually don't believe in your process, but we're looking at the results of your process. So can you do it overseas? And I said, I don't think it matters where. I don't think it changes depending on what kind of person I'm talking to. So, yes, I can do it overseas. And they said, can you do it can you go inside a militant terrorist organization and do that with them? Because you can do it in gangs. Can you do it overseas? And I said, what's the difference? Why do you think that's different? But I know humans, we think other people, kinds of people, places are harder. It's not true. The enemy tells us these lies. And so they gave me a scenario they were working, and they said, right now, give us your solution to this scenario. We haven't been able to resolve it. We're looking for someone to resolve it. So again, 28, I tell young people all the time, I'm 28. And the State Department's asking me how to solve a problem that they just can't find the solution to. So I sat right there with them in the bar, and I prayed, and I said, God, would you just give us wisdom on this? Because if you ask him for wisdom, he says he gives it, but don't waver and be afraid to do what he says. So my prayer is this. God, our team does this. God, we're getting ready to ask you for wisdom. Before we ask you for wisdom, because we know you're going to give it, give us the courage for the wisdom you're going to give us.
Wow.
Because that's where it's going to bring.
Okay.
So we're like, don't dare pray for wisdom if you don't pray for the courage to do it first, because you'll drop out.
Yeah.
And so I prayed, and the Lord gave me an idea for them, and I told them, and they hired me on the spot.
Wow.
So I tell people, if you want to get hired, learn how to hear from God.
Okay,
Like,
can we spend a few minutes on that? Because I have tons of questions, and I know we're getting closer on time, but I would just love to hear, what does it mean? How do you hear from God? How do you know it's God's voice and not your own? Just teach me, because I am desperate to learn in this area. And I know a lot of our listeners are. And
then, Jamie, into that, I'd love, well, you said you were 28, and so I think this is after you arrested someone for hitting an officer. This was after that? And so maybe you can tie in that story.
Yeah, that was the main case they wanted. They worked to get to that case. They wanted to know how I made it to make that decision, which was in my 5th year. That's when they called me. It was after that case. Yeah. So maybe if I tell the story, I can answer both questions. So I had made investigator. I was made as an investigator. I was working day shift, Christmas Eve, get a burglary in progress call. I'm right on top of it, basically. I see the guy coming out with the stolen property. He's a big guy, big, strong guy. A uniformed guy's coming from another direction, doesn't see him. He runs into the guy. The guy cold cocks the uniform officer, knocks him flat. I run down, arrest the guy. He's a big dude, but he didn't fight me. He started apologizing to me, whatever. I arrest him. So we've got a burglary, a felony burglary, felony possession of stolen property, and felony assault of a police officer, all in my presence. I handcuff him, put him in my car. I'm driving him to the jail. There's a bunch of other details in that, but we can tell you another time. And I'm driving him to the jail. And as I'm driving him to the jail, to answer your question about hearing from God. I didn't ask God a question in this situation. I knew what to do. He's a bad guy. You lock him up. That's what you do. While I'm driving to the jail, I have an idea. This is how I call it. Whenever I testify in court or ever I say I have an idea. You have the mind of Christ. Mm-hmm. You have the mind of Christ. Your mind is how he talks to your mind. And you have the Spirit of the living God inside of you and have everything pertaining to life and godliness. And you're sitting in the heavenly realms right now with every spiritual blessing. We possess all of that right now, but we act like we don't have any of it. And so I'm used to just communicating with God all the time. Like, Lord, what do you think of this? And it's a beautiful day. And you just practice it all the time. And I have these ideas and I'm in a situation and I have this idea that I need to pull over and let this guy loose. It comes very strong, very distinct to my mind. It would be a good idea to pull over and drop this guy off. It's just my own voice, right?
Okay.
But why would I come up with that? Right? Is Satan telling me to let the guy loose? I doubt it. Satan loves incarceration and imprisonment. He doesn't like freedom. And so I'm like, so what I do is, okay, now I'm going to test that thought. Like I'm going to test the spirit of it. Okay, so I say, Lord, I just had this crazy idea. I'm going to say this idea back to you.
Okay. Is
this you? Let this guy go. Is it and then it is like, yes, let him go. Is that statement biblical? Is that a Christ-like command to release this guy? So I say back to the Lord, okay, I do have the power in this position to de-arrest according to the general orders. It's not illegal. I do have the power to do it. But if I do it, I'm going to lose my job and probably get charged. The next idea that comes to my mind is your job more important than this guy's life? Now, where do you think that idea comes from? Do you see what I mean?
Sure.
They're ideas that I came to give you life. I came to set the captives free. I came to release the prisoner. It's that voice. That voice loves the guy behind me. I don't. I'm mad at him. The guy behind me is trying to tell me that his wife's in grad school and he doesn't have any money and he wants to buy her a Christmas present and he's never done a burger. I don't listen to any of that nonsense. I've heard that story 10,000 times. But the voice inside me is, let him go. He's telling the truth. Let him go. Right now, let him go. Is his life less important than your job? Do you think I can't find you another job? This is the voice of God. Wow. That's the voice of God, right? And then I run through the scriptures. Is that in line with scripture? Yes, it is in line with scripture. Would Jesus just totally forgive a criminal?
Yeah.
Yes. Would he look at him and go, this day you're going to be with me in paradise? Yes, he would. That's exactly what he would say. What would the enemy say? Fight him, hate him, dislike him. He's a bad guy. Your job is to enforce the law. Do your job. Be afraid of losing your job on behalf of someone like this. Your job's more important. What about your family? Your family's more important. That's the enemy. Scarcity. And so I pull over and I de-arrest the guy, and the guy doesn't want to leave. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm de-arresting you. Go away. Walk away. Get her out of here. He thinks I'm going to take the handcuffs off him. This is in the 80s. Push him away and shoot him as a fleeing felon, which we could do. That's what he thinks I'm going to do. This is our culture. This is our culture. I can't even release a guy because he knows I'm going to shoot him. That's our culture. That's the world we've built. And I'm like, no, I'm letting you go. I want you to go. Walk away from me. And he goes, I don't believe you. And I said, I'm sorry you don't believe me because you're black and I'm a white police officer, that this is never going to happen in this world. It is going to happen, right? And I knocked him down and jumped in my car and I drove away. That is how you know it's the voice of the Lord. It redeems all. It loves all. It rescues all. And if we have to lay down our jobs and our lives for the good of the other, we do.
Yeah.
Right. And I kept thinking of the story Les Miserables, when he steals the candlesticks. Sure. And the priest is like, oh, I gave those to him. Yeah. That's what came to my mind too.
But you're going to get
so I get to
trouble.
The station.
I mean, he hit an officer, you're toast. Man.
Yes. An officer from another squad. So I've got to answer to that other squad that I de-arrested a guy that hit their guy. You mean you don't do this stuff? You do not do this stuff. And so I go to the precinct, and all the way I'm like, Lord, I'm just obeying you in this. Like, this is not a good idea. Here's another way I know it's the Lord. How many people in Scripture get the plan God gives them and go, that's a great idea? Nobody. Nobody.
That's good.
They all think, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You have the wrong person. This is not going to work. See, Satan's plans always make sense. Do you know why? Because it never takes any faith to believe them.
Oh, that's
It
good.
never takes faith to believe a lie, but it takes all kinds of faith to believe what's true. And so when God says, when you have the sense I'm not smart enough and I can lose my job and I'm ugly and I'm a disappointment, that doesn't take any faith to go, I know. You're a crappy husband. I know. Yeah, I know. You just agree. Because we all say that to each other and we all go, I know, we know, yeah, we know. But when God says, you know what? You're an amazing dad. You're an amazing dad. Receive that from me. Now live like it. Now live like it. Right? Stop thinking you're a crappy dad and then living like it. You're an amazing dad. I made you an amazing dad. Now let's figure out what that really looks like. Let's walk that way. But you got to walk in that identity. You can't be a crappy dad trying to make yourself good. That doesn't work because you still believe the lie. Believe what I say about you, like that. And so I was saying to the Lord, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job. And he's telling me, I have jobs that you don't know anything about. This police department is not the only job in the world. That's the lie. And this isn't the only career in the world. That's the lie. I have so much more. Trust me. This will move you to things that you'll never go to in your own thinking. Trust me. Have faith. Believe me. And so I got to the station and the captain's like, where's the guy? And I'm like, it's dumb when you're by yourself thinking about it. When you got to explain it to a captain, it sounds even dumber. And I said, I de-arrested him. And he said, why? And I said, oh my gosh, well, I just feel like it was a good idea. And he said, you're suspended until you have 2 weeks for this to become a good idea, or you're not only fired, we're going to probably bring charges against you because we don't know what this guy's going to do. He could go kill somebody. We don't know what he's going to do. And so they suspended me. They put me on the desk. They call it riding the pine. They put me on the desk, and I went home and told my wife, and she was like, man, you've done some crazy stuff before, but wow. But she was always with me because it was going to get way worse when we got to the Middle East. It was going to get way more than this. But, and so anyway, the guy that I released was telling the truth. He'd never committed a crime. His wife was in graduate school. And he called me at the desk, the guy I released. And he said, do you know who I am? And I said, yep, I recognize your voice. And he said, I'm the guy you released. And I said, I know who you are. And he goes, the one you released the other day. And I said, how many people do you think I released? You're the only one I've ever released. I know who you are. And he said, I believe that God told you to release me. And he said, and I want to thank you for what you did. So will you let me be a part of restoring in my neighborhood what has been stolen from us? And he and I became best friends. And we worked together for more than a year, and we solved more crime together. We solved cases from Boston to Miami. We were in DC, and he made me famous. That guy made me famous. And at the end of our time together, because we had to break it off because he was going to get killed, and I refused to work with him anymore. I got the police department to pay for his wife's entire tuition.
I'm literally crying. Come on.
Yeah. And so the last time it was Christmas Eve that I de-arrested him. The last Christmas, the following year, I met with him. I said, I'm going to meet you one more time, and then we're never going to ever see each other again, because some cartel guys were after him. I said, they'll kill you. They might kill me, but they'll definitely kill you. So I don't want you to do this anymore. I mean, you got a wife and you guys are still young. So I met with him and I gave him a Christmas card, and I said, this Christmas card's from the police department to you and your wife. And he opened it up, and it was the whole tuition for all their debt.
Wow.
Paid by the police department. And so that's the kingdom of God right there.
So wild.
That's how you stop crime. That's how people are changed and transformed. That's how race relations, all in two people. And God's saying to one of them, de-arrest this guy.
So wild.
Your job's not as important.
We could talk for 2 more days. You got to give us the questions, the 3 questions you ask.
What's that? The 3 questions?
Yeah, what as I recall, it's these questions you ask God, and I always just said 2 that I got from you, and then the other day when I ran into you, go, there's actually a 3rd one. Do you remember saying that that there's a 3rd question?
Well, the two are always, what do you want me to know and what do you want me to do? Those are the two big questions that we always ask God in a situation. Number one is, what do you want me to know? Because we think we already know everything. And we don't. We have no idea what's really happening or what the future is. So, Lord, what do you want me to know? And then once I understand at least what you want me to know, then, okay, knowing that, what do you want me to do? So those are the two. I don't remember the third, but those are the two.
So I saw you in Norman the other day, and I was like, man, those I said those two questions, those changed my life. I've just been every day, God, what do you want me to know, and what do you want me to do? And you go, there's a third one, and it's, God, what am I doing that you didn't ask me to? And and it was such a timely thing that you would say that. You don't know this, but I left there and I went in the hospital for 16 days. And so
I knew
I've been in the hospital, just recently got out, but did I pray that for 16 days. God, what am I doing that you didn't ask me to do? Because I just was literally in bed for 16 days. So it was really timely. That's what I'm saying. So what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? And what am I doing that you didn't ask me to?
Yeah, the enemy can't take away your identity. So the whole goal for the enemy is that you never know who you actually are, or that you might know, and he keeps it as minimalized as small as possible. What's wild is what we think is big. The enemy, we don't understand the level of influence we can have because we measure it by the way the West measures influence, or whatever, and it's not real influence. And so it's really fascinating how we think we're getting bigger, and actually we're getting smaller. And this is the kingdom. To go up, you have to go down, as Tozer used to say. And so I think I tell people all the time, like, if you understand who God says you are, and then ask him, how do I give the gift of my identity to the world? How do I give the gift of my identity? Your identity is your gift to the world that no one else can bring. And you can only bring it as Christ as the revealer of that identity, right? That's why we need Jesus so desperately. And then when he says, I want you to, like, nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows who you are. Cut this guy loose. Just cut this guy loose. That is like the greatest thing. You'll never know. And so I went back to find the nurse. I've never found her. Never been able to find her.
Wow.
And my son's a federal agent, and he can't find her. But I've looked for her forever, and I knew the floor I was on and the week, and I didn't know her name. But man, I've been looking for her. But one of my great joys is going to be in the future. Because as far as she knows, I left there cussing her out. When she's in heaven, boy, when they call her name at the Bema seat or whatever your eschatology is, the number of Muslims that are going to stand up and cheer her, she has no idea what she did on that day, that week, talking to that smart aleck kid. And I just tell people, you don't know. In those small, inconsequential moments, that's where the kingdom explodes.
Where was the hospital?
And so it's in Northern Virginia.
And it was 19.
Yeah, it's not there anymore.
1972, 1973. Is that what you said?
That was 1977, January 1977.
In Northern Virginia.
I can see her face.
Yeah.
I can see her.
So powerful.
Yeah.
Jamie, you have your voice is not one of a 65-year-old. Has anyone ever told you that?
I guess that's a compliment. I don't know.
It's because when I heard you, I was like trying to guess your age, and I was thinking, okay, maybe he's 40, 45. But man, what a life
my kids are 40.
Yeah, well, what a life you've lived. You're an inspiration to me. I know I've heard many of your stories, and if there's 100%, we're at about 13%. And so we would love to have you back on Becoming Something anytime. Jamie Winship's book is Living Fearless, identityexchange.com. Pick up the book, buy the actual book, listen to it, get the audio, identityexchange.com. See what those guys are offering. Go on YouTube, check it out. Brother, we're so thankful for you, and may the Lord bless you, keep you, let his face shine upon you. Thank you for your faithfulness and just the way that you're teaching, and especially here, the next generation, just to walk with God, who you are to God. Tozer also said what the most important thing about a man is what comes to mind when he thinks about God. But I also think what I'm hearing from you is what we think comes to God's mind when he thinks about us.
That's good.
And
Yeah, that's right.
And just really thankful for you. Thanks for sharing your stories with us and your life with us.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be with you guys. Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Becoming Something, where we promise to keep the conversation honest and real for young adults in their 20s and 30s. Every moment we live is training for a future moment, and that's why we do this podcast, because we want you to be prepared for everything that life is going to throw at you. Our hope with this podcast is that it would help you become all that God desires you to be. To find out more, visit becomingsomething.com.